Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for this yoga practice to celebrate the January full wolf moon in the sign of Cancer. The wolf moon is a time of expression. As the wolves howl to connect to their pack, so too do we call in the need for clear and loving communication during the winter season. The moon is also in the nurturing sign of Cancer, which can lead to amplified emotions and the desire to connect with loved ones. With that in mind, today's practice will bring a special awareness to the throat chakra to focus on clear and loving communication, not just with others, but to build honesty within our own inner self. Once we establish this connection, clear and truthful communication can be shared with others. If you'd like to bring along any crystals, blue crystals such as Lapis Lazuli, Turquoise, aquamarine or sodalite will aid in this intention. Some essential oils to aid in clear and loving communication could include peppermint, rose or eucalyptus. When you're ready, let's begin. Hey everyone, welcome to the January full wolf moon yoga practice. So we're going to start today in a seated position and we're just going to take a little moment to set our intention for today's practice. So you can just rest with your hands on your knees or in your lap and just starting to connect to the body, noticing any sensations we're feeling today, any resistances, any tension. Notice how you're feeling energetically, where you run along the spectrum of grounding energy or fiery energy. Notice the quality of the thoughts as they circulate through the mind. And I want you to bring some special awareness now to your throat, to your neck. And just noticing any sensations you feel there as you perhaps observe the breath passing, the temperature of the air through your throat. Noticing if you're practicing Ujjayi breathing, that gentle restriction to the back of the throat, creating the ocean-like sound, the audible breath. Noticing the more subtle, intuitive, energetic center, the throat chakra, the Vishuddha chakra. And I want you to notice if there feels like trapped energy, stuck energy there. And you may not feel that. You may feel free-flowing energy in this part, or you may not feel much energy at all. That is absolutely fine as well. But just notice how it feels, this idea of communication. But not just with ourselves, with our community, but with all beings everywhere. This idea of communicating freely the truth, sharing our true values with ourselves, our loved ones, and the entire world around us, and how that feels. And as we take a few more breaths here, you can simply keep your awareness today, your focus, a little bit on the throat of that communication. Or perhaps today you want to repeat to yourself the affirmation, I share loving and truthful communication. I share loving and truthful communication. And you can imagine this communication like a deep web that connects you to those around us, creating this community or pack. Like the wolves, we have this innate understanding of being connected to those around us that sometimes gets a little bit lost in the modern day. We become so separated from our loved ones that sometimes this communication can feel like a real challenge for so many people. So imagining how it would feel for free-flowing communication with true honesty, how it would feel to speak your truth, and just sit with that feeling for a little moment longer. And when you're ready, take a long deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the nose, or you can sigh it out. And during today's practice, I want you to let any noises come. So if you feel like you want to sigh out your breath, groaning, grunting, yawning, all of these movements that come from the throat, let them happen. Just feel and embrace that kind of natural desire to express yourself and let it happen. We're going to start with some gentle movements through the neck. So I want you to just start by bringing your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Maybe this looks more like a side stretch, or maybe for you it's more like chin towards shoulder, or maybe both. Very gentle movements though. And then I want you to bring your chin to your chest, and we're going to hold here for a little bit today. See if you can let go of the tension in your shoulders, let them relax down. Noticing how you feel through the back of the neck, the upper back. And for some of us, this can even create tension through the back of the head, through the hairline. And then I want you to bring your right ear over to your right shoulder. Or once again, maybe it's more like your chin towards your right shoulder. So you can feel the stretch running through the left side of the throat. And then bring your chin back through center. Just hold for a little moment longer. And then bring yourself to a neutral position. Now you can stay seated if you prefer this position, otherwise we're going to come to kneeling, and this pose is a little bit silly, and that's kind of why I love it, because it's called lion's pose, simhasana, and it enables us to express ourselves. We have to get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable as we communicate. It can make us feel a bit vulnerable and a bit exposed, and this posture brings that to the light. So if you feel a bit uncomfortable and it feels a bit strange and you feel a bit embarrassed, that's kind of the point. Those are the skills we need to embrace when it comes to loving and truthful communication. So making your way onto a kneeling position, you may want your knees just a little bit wider than your hips. Now you can rest your hands on the floor, fingers forward, or you can externally rotate your shoulders so your fingers are facing back and your forearms are facing forwards. Now for this next pose, we're going to be breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And it's going to be silly because we're going to stick our tongue out as far as we possibly can, and we're going to turn our gaze up towards the third eye center in the very center of the forehead. So we're going to do 3 rounds. If you're a bit slower, you may just want to do 2. If you're a bit quicker, you may want to do up to 5, but you want to maintain nice deep breath in this practice. Okay, so go in with an open mind. Nice deep breath in through the nose. As you exhale, open your mouth, stick your tongue out. Deep audible breath. Finish your exhalation. Just gently release your hands back. Give your wrists a little release if needs be. And just slow your breath down again. Notice how you feel in this kind of release through the throat, breathing in and breathing out. Now just bring your knees to touch so you feel a bit more stable, or alternatively come back to a cross-legs position. And we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, squeeze the shoulder blades, and we're going to lift the chin, lift the chest up. Only go as far as feels good to you. And here I want you to feel actually the quite subtle pull on the soft tissues, the tension of the face. And just notice how that line runs from the base of the neck all the way through to the hairline on the front of the forehead. As you exhale, slowly with control, bring your head back through center, release your arms. And then we're going to bring the forearms together to touch, palms touching. As we inhale, we're going to lift the chin, lift the chest, bring those elbows wide as we retract the scapula. And then as we exhale, we're going to round, bring the forearms together to touch, bringing the chin towards the collarbone. Gentle engagement of your low belly. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale back to neutral. And then this time, as we exhale, we're going to bring the right arm underneath the left. You can take the hands to touch the shoulders, backs of the hands or palms of the hands can touch. And again, you can hold in stillness, or as you inhale, maybe lift the elbows, lift the chin, lift the chest. And then as we exhale, we round the spine, bringing the elbows towards the navel. Inhale back to neutral. Release your arms out nice and wide, and then as you exhale, bring the left arm underneath the right. Find a similar position you did on the other side. Stay in stillness, or again, inhale. Lift your chin away from your collarbone, extend through the spine. And then as we exhale, elbows towards your navel as you bring your chin to your collarbone. Once you've finished your exhalation, bring yourself back to neutral on your inhalation. Bring your arms nice and wide. Nice expansion all the way to the fingertips. And then exhale, bring your hands forward. Come onto hands and knees, wrists under shoulders, knees underneath your hips, tops of the feet flat. We're going to inhale into cow pose. And exhale into cat. Lots of extension and flexion through the spine. Once more, inhaling. And exhaling, lots of deep connection to your breath today. Inhale back to a neutral position through the spine. And then from here, we're going to tuck our toes under and lift our hips up and back. We're going to take our feet really nice and wide. So mat distance apart or even wider. And you can just take a few moments here in this really wide, kind of short, downward facing dog. Just pedaling out those legs. And then when you feel stable, you're going to start to walk your hands back so you're in a wide-legged ragdoll. And you may just want to take a generous bend to those knees or just shift the hips from side to side. As with all ragdolls, we want the head to be heavy so long as there's no pain in your neck today. And if you wanted to add a little bit more, the next time you come through center, you can interlace your fingers and place the palms of the hands to kind of where the back of the skull meets the neck. So just adding a little bit of weight. You're not pulling your head down, but a little bit of weight, adding a touch of resistance to the neck. So you get a deep stretch. And you can hear it in my voice, this kind of compression through the throat. Adding that restriction. Maybe making it a little bit more challenging to breathe fully. But we maintain that breath in the same way that even when communication gets tough, we continue to speak our truth and to speak with honesty and with clarity. Release the arms down, and again, maybe you want to take another little side to side. This practice is a little bit more of the subtle body, so it's a bit more intuitive, less so rigid in the approach of the yoga postures. So just finding what feels good to you. And then we're going to make our way back to that wide, short, downward facing dog. And you can just let your head relax here, turn your gaze towards toes, knees or navel, maybe little, subtle, slow shake of your head, yes, no. And then from here, we're going to drop to the knees. Bring your heels to touch, your knees to touch, and sit those hips back towards the heels. And we're going to take a rabbit pose. Now this is a risky posture if you have sensitivity to your neck or even your rotator cuff in your shoulders. So just stop when you need to. There is no pressure to get all the way down in this one, especially if weight bearing in your neck is an issue for you. So you can just work on the chin to chest compression. So I want you to take your thumbs to the outside of the heels, fingers towards the inside of the heels, almost like cup hands as you bring your hands round towards your heels. And we're just going to start with the opposite movement. So bring your chin away from your chest. And then I hope you can hear me as I do this. Bring your chin to your chest. It's like you're making a double chin. It's really flattering, but you can hear in my voice this compression in the throat. So just hold here for a moment, get that compression, and then continue to round down really tight, like you're trying to get your nose into your belly button. It's not going to happen, but we're going to try our best. Continue to round down, and for some of us the forehead will touch the knees, for some of us we'll stop here, but if the forehead touches the knees with ease, you can bring the crown of the head to the floor. Make sure the forehead continues to touch the knees as you lift those hips over the knees. Keep your hands cupped towards the heels. There should be very minimal weight on the head. The head is on the floor to act as an anchor to find more expansion through the back of the neck. Inhaling. As you exhale, bring your hips to your heels, hold for just a second, and then roll up very slowly with control. So your head is the last thing to come up. When you get to the top, take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale fully. Again, however works best for you. We're going to take a variation of baby camel. And so this one is, again, a little bit of a vulnerable position, so really take it gently. We're going to bring our hands behind the hips, so not too far back. And we're going to lift those hips up, lift the chin up, lift the chest up, and bring the gaze back behind you. So you want to keep your hands firmly rooted on the floor for this one. It's more about the expansion in the shoulders, the chest, the throat in comparison to the deep back bend. So just take another breath. As we exhale, bring those hips towards the heels. Slowly, slowly come up so your head is the last thing, so we don't get that kind of whiplash effect if we're bringing our head back. Slowly rolls up and then just roll out the shoulders. Hopefully getting rid of some of the tension we often feel in the upper body. And then from here, we're just gonna shift our hips off to the side. If you really wanna take a flow, of course you can do that. But we're gonna come into a reverse tabletop or a reverse plank. So with your legs bent, knees hips width, feet hips width, or with your legs straight, toes pointing, bring your hands about a foot behind your hips, fingers facing forward. And then on your inhalation, push through those hands enough that you can lift your hips up, lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. Feel the tension running along the front line of the body, all the way, even from the chin here. If you close your mouth, you may find that there's tension running along the front of the jaw. Feel the strength of the pose for 4. Make sure your neck feels supported though. 3, 2, 1. Release those hips down. Again, give your wrists a little release as well. Give your shoulders a little roll. And we're going to come to lay down on our backs for bridge pose. So for this position, we're going to bring our heels in towards our sit bones, so as close as you can get them towards your heels. Your knees and your ankles are hips width distance apart with your arms alongside your body, palms of the hands facing down. Lengthen your tailbone towards the backs of the heels, so it's like you're trying to draw your pelvis up towards your low ribs, and then lift your hips up. You can stay with this position or interlace fingers behind the back, bringing your chin away from your chest and bringing your chest further towards your chin for a deeper extension in the thoracic spine. But keep bringing your chin away, keep the throat nice and open. Keep pressing through those heels. Make sure we're evenly distributing the weight between the feet, breathing in. As we exhale, slowly lower those hips down to the floor once again. Now you can do that again. You can also come into legs up the wall pose, just bringing your legs up or your knees towards your chest. If you want to take a shoulder stand through to a plow pose or a halasana pose, you can do that. If you're not sure, make sure that you're watching first before you come into it. So we come to lay down on our backs in the same position we just did. But now this time, if you're coming straight into shoulder stand, you may want to bring your legs straight out in front with your toes and heels together. Arms alongside the yoga mat, palms down. On your inhalation, either in a few rocks or one movement to shoot your legs up towards the ceiling. You can bring your hands towards your sacrum, fingers facing up towards the heels, eventually bringing those hips more over your shoulders as you turn your gaze towards either your toes or your belly button. Again, push through the back of the head to bring your neck into a longer position. Use your hands to support your spine, and it shouldn't feel painful. Now you have the option to stay here, or if you want to come into a plow pose, you can bring your toes behind your head. If your toes touch the floor, you can come onto the tops of the feet and interlace your fingers behind the back. If they don't touch the floor, keep your hands onto the sacrum. Keep your gaze steady towards your navel. One final position, you can stay exactly as you are, or for ear pressure pose, Karanapadasana, you can bring your knees to your forehead, or if there's space, bring your knees to the outside of the ears, toes and heels connect over the top of your head. Keep your gaze towards your navel. I hope you can hear me okay. When you're ready, Knees to forehead, arms alongside the yoga mat, palms facing down, palms shoulder width, or thumbs can touch. Use your legs as a counterweight to slowly unroll. And if you kind of roll out with a bit more momentum than that, that's fine, don't worry. You can use your legs to prop yourself up onto your forearms, lift your chin, lift your chest, lift your sternum, and then bring the crown of the head down to the floor. Gazing off the tip of the nose, feeling the opening through the throat. Bringing that awareness again to the energy system, the clear and loving communication. As you exhale, chin to your collarbone, look forwards, release your thumbs and come to lay down on your back. Find any last movements in the body that you're craving. And then from here, just release your arms alongside the body. We're going to rest here for maybe a minute. And then we're going to finish today's practice with a Brahmari breathing, a beautiful pranayama technique to help open up the throat chakra. So for now, just embrace the stillness once again, finding that clarity of the mind, enjoying perhaps some free breathing, noticing the sensation through the throat, bringing the awareness to not only the physical sensations of the throat, of the neck, but also perhaps the more subtle, noticing the qualities of our communication with ourselves. Are we being truthful? Are we being honest with ourselves? With those around us? Are we sharing the loving community? Or are we resistant to sharing that with our friends, with our family? How do we communicate with others, directly or indirectly? Do we share well wishes or do we wish pain? And again, this opens the dialogue of being truthful with yourself. Don't berate yourself, but just notice the communication patterns we hold. And the more we can be truthful, the more we can be honest with ourselves. Over time, the more we can strengthen the connections to those around us, to the people we love most. And so as we rest here for just a couple more moments, perhaps either reaffirming your intention, the connection for truthful and loving communication, or repeating to yourself the mantra, I share loving and truthful communication. I share loving and truthful communication. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh out. And then we're going to gently make our way to a seat. So you can just bend your knees, roll up to a seat or rock to the right hand side. Use your hands to help support you as you bring yourself up to a seat. And just find a comfortable seated position on your knees or on your shins. Now, if you have the confidence, the space, and you're not going to disturb anyone in your home, I recommend a bit of howling, shouting, screaming therapy can be really good for really releasing that internal trappage that we hold in our throat chakra. But if you don't have that, or maybe you're just feeling a bit self-conscious about screaming, we're going to do Brahmari pranayama together. So this is going to be a hummingbird breath, and it's going to be a really nice way of communicating or opening the communication pathways between our throat and with our mind. So essentially, again, it's a little bit weird, so don't do this until you're ready, because otherwise you won't be able to hear me. You're going to use your thumbs to close off your ears, and you're going to wrap your fingers either around your head or around your eyes, depending on what feels better. And you can actually close off your eyes for a deeper immersion into this sensation. We're going to be breathing in through the nose, nice deep breath, and then as we exhale, we're going to hum it out with the lips closed. So that kind of sound. And we're just going to do 3 rounds again. Go at your own pace, take your time, and don't rush. So when you're ready, prepare. Exhale, begin. you haven't already, just release your palms together at the center of your heart. Notice this internal vibration, the communication pathways between the body and the mind. Perhaps using this time to reflect on how you can be more truthful, more honest in your communication with yourself and those around you. Perhaps reflecting, perhaps leading into a meditation. However you're deciding to spend your January wolf moon, I wish you all the best on your journey. Thank you all so much for joining me. Namaste.